welcome to another episode of Mario's History Talks. Have a bit of a treat for everybody today. Had a viewer submitted request for an episode. Basically had somebody reach out to me with a question that they wanted answered. The question was, who or what are the Paeonians and how do they relate to our identity as Macedonians? Well, according to the Greeks, the Paeonians are a separate tribe of the Macedonians that lived in the territory of the modern-day Republic of Macedonia. So being separate and not being geographically related, Macedonians cannot be called Macedonians. Only Greeks can because they control the territory of the Kingdom of Macedonia. So a couple of errors in this line of thinking, if we even call it thinking. Well, first of all, it completely flat out contradicts the idea that we are Slavic migrants to the Balkans, like Greeks like to claim. So they are basically contradicting themselves, saying we're both an ancient people and a recent migratory people to the Balkans. Secondly, Greeks from time to time will claim the Paeonians as a Greek tribe. So there's not a whole lot of consensus because some Greeks will do anything they can to say we're not Macedonian, but other Greeks will succumb to the pressure and want to claim everything is Greek as part of the Megali Idea, the idea that Greater Greece inhabits most of the Balkans and even part of modern-day Turkey. So finally, though, this really just attempts to whitewash and otherwise inconvenient facts to the Greeks. The fact that Macedonia was divided. Macedonia first became Greek in 1913, and up until that point in history, ethnic Macedonians constituted the majority of the core of Macedonia. So another sidestepping of the issues. So who or what are the Paeonians? Well, the Paeonians were first mentioned in Homer's Iliad in the Trojan War in the 13th century BCE as a tribe that was an ally of the Trojans. So right off the bat, we see they had no close kinship with the Greeks. According to the Iliad, according to Homer, their territory was basically a vast majority of not only the Republic of Macedonia, but into Aegean Macedonia down straight to Salonika, the Solon, the Thermaic Gulf. So when Greeks post maps that they're completely separate from the Macedonians, they're really not taking history into account. Strabo, an ancient Greek geographer, said the same thing, saying that the Paeonians controlled the whole territory of the Macedonians in Homeric times. And we have to take into account that tribes and borders really were constantly shifting. There was no real demarcation. So by the time of a Macedonian kingdom, especially by Philip's time, the Paeonians had in fact largely been moved to the north. And this is the time period Greeks tend to exclusively focus on because it suits the narrative. But even by that point, there was a differentiation between Lower Macedonia and Upper Macedonia, also called Free Macedonia. Lower Macedonia was under the control of the Argiads, the Macedonian royal family, while Upper Macedonia was a loose confederation of tribes, including largely the Paeonians. So what we're seeing with this is, even if there was a differentiation of sorts, it was still called Macedonia. In fact, a lot of historians just call the whole territory Macedonia. So we're seeing related tribes, some degree of affinity for this to happen. They weren't a completely different tribe. But even at that, by 217 BCE under King Philip, the Paeonians were completely absorbed into the Macedonian people. They became Macedonians. They were no longer differentiated. And this takes, like I said, a degree of cultural and linguistic, I would assume, affinity for this to happen. It doesn't happen if it's, oil and water. So even with this, though, we can't lose the forest for the trees. The territory of the Paeonians doesn't matter because the modern-day Republic of Macedonia is well established as being a part of the Kingdom of Macedonia. Strabo, for example, talks about the Lyncus people, a very famous tribe in the Pelagonia region, modern-day Bitola. They are actually the protogeners, so to say, of Alexander, because Alexander the Great's grandmother was from the territory of Bitola, actually. Her name was Eurydice, and she was part of the Lyncus tribe. Notwithstanding, there's also the tribe of the cities of Gordinia, Atalanta, Idomeni. A lot of regions of ancient Macedonia are on the modern-day territory of Macedonia. And if we actually superimpose the borders of ancient Macedonia into modern-day Greece and Republic of Macedonia, we see something interesting. While Greece obviously controls the lion's share of the kingdom, as a percentage of their entire country, it's actually a much smaller portion than we have. If you look at how much of a percentage ancient Macedonia is a part of the Republic of Macedonia, it's actually the majority. So that's why we have all these archaeological artifacts. That's why a lot of coins, sculptures, inscriptions are found quite literally in our backyards. Even if a territory was part of the Paeonians, it's been a part of every other region in their territory. The Illyrians, the Thracians, the Brygians, these all became Macedonians. Paeonians are very simple sidestepping of the issue because Greeks want us to be confined to our modern day borders. But if we look at history, we look at the facts, we see borders were really not a thing, and a lot of people became the Macedonians. So thank you again for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to comment, and I'd love to hear your ideas for another topic. So feel free to drop me a line. Like I said, thank you for listening. Have a great week. Take care.